What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's Sam YouTube? It's your girl that got us, and I'm back. Ooh, with another one. With another one. Yeah. All right, guys. So you are more than welcome to think that anything I say on this channel is a bunch of tomfoolery. You are more than welcome to think that anything I say is crazy, or that I am crazy and I need psychiatric help. You are more than welcome to disagree with anything I say on this channel, because why? What you think is valid in your world. Let me repeat that. What you think is valid in your world. Okay? This channel is about freedom of thought. Think how you want to think. I am not here to persuade you to believe what I believe. I'm just here to provoke thought. So if you think Bigfoot and Sasquatch is real, baby, that's the channel for you. If you think fairies and mermaids exist, that's the channel for you. If you think aliens are real, that's the channel for you. Okay? I'm just here to shake things, stir the pot a little bit. Shake things up a little bit. You hear me? Now, think how you want to think, unless how you think is detrimental to another person, then you, and if so, you may need psychiatric help. You the one that may need psychiatric help. Okay? Or if it's detrimental to yourself, you may need psychiatric help, okay? I mean, unless you like me and you have a strong mind and you can heal yourself and you can get through it. That's why I make these videos, for you to get through it if how you're thinking is harmful to yourself, okay? I'm not a doctor, though. This is things that I have gone through, that I use to help myself, okay? Watch previous videos. All right, now let's get into the video. All right, so today I am here to explain why I believe that God is everything. Why, when I learned about sacred geometry, why when I learned why when I watched the ancient civilizations, when they were talking about the Gnostic texts are the real and full and complete version of the Old Testament of the Bible. And that is where King James and, you know, all the people that rewrote these stories get it from, right? So the reason why it resonated with me so much, because when I was a child, I always used to ask, why? I was that kid where I ask a question, you know, I would be like, Mom, why is grass green? And then she'll give me an answer. Then I'll be like, well, why? And then she'll give me an answer, and I'm like, well, why? And then she'll give me an answer, and I'm like, well, why? I was that kid, right? And I remember doing it. I remember asking my dad that, and my mama that. And I always used to wonder, I always used to ask myself, why doesn't God let us see him? You know, because God is taught to us as if it's a man, right? As if it's a person or a being. Now, when I learned about sacred geometry, I saw the docu-series on Gaia, Ancient Civilizations, where they talked about what the Gnostics talk about Sophia, who was a ion, and this ion like just split itself up into all of these things and created Earth, and then created, you know what I'm saying, all of these things. So that made more sense to me. Even the Genesis, the creation story, it helped me to understand that story as well, because the way that the Bible tells the story, it tells the story like it's a human being saying, let there be light, when really God is the light. You know what I'm saying? God is the light that formed from the darkness, right? So that answered my question to why doesn't God let us see him? You know, that answered my question, because if you think about God as a man, as a human being, then you would then there will be the question of, well, who made God? And I know that that's deep, but that's how deep I used to think as a child. That's how far I would go as a child. Like, well, then who made God? You know what I'm saying? So when God formed, when the light formed from the darkness, and the ancient people called this spark of creation spirit, and then this spirit just kept on expanding itself into everything that we see. So everything is a derivative of this spirit. And what is a spirit? A spirit is just consciousness. So if you guys, Christians and Muslims and people are part of these different religions, they all have one thing in common: spirit. When you die, when this body dies, there is still spirit. Your spirit still exists. You know what I'm saying? So God is the source. You have the source spirit, and then everything else is a derivative of that. So that answered my question. That answered my question fully. It's like, okay, that's why God doesn't let us see him, because we can't see our own spirits. Some people do have that gift where they could see auras and see spirits, but for the most part, we can't see spirits. Some people, have seen, and some people have seen spirits that's disembodied human spirits. I know some people don't believe that those things exist, ghosts and whatever, but they exist. There's a lot of people. There's a lot more people. It's way more common. It's way more common than people think it is. It's way more common than people think that it is. People seeing spirits, and this spirit is just a light. It's just light. So in Genesis, when it said, God said, let there be light, it was God expanded itself into this light, right? From the darkness or whatever. So that made so much sense to me. And then I understood why, the conscious community was, I don't want to say conscious community. I don't want to put the air quotes on them. Conscious community. When the conscious community used to talk about consciousness, raising your consciousness, I didn't fully understand that either. But once I learned about the sacred geometry and watched the ancient civilizations that learned about the Gnostic texts, then I was like, okay, that's why they say consciousness. God is consciousness. God is this awareness, it's this awareness of all. God is and then I heard Dr. Umar Johnson call God the supreme consciousness. And the supreme consciousness is the knower and seer of all, right? So the supreme consciousness is the source. The source can see, is the knower and the seer of all, is the aware of the all. So when I started learning about spirituality and people calling it the universe, I'm like, oh my God, it's the same thing. I'm like, the way that these spiritual people rely on the universe, or they, talk about, your thoughts and your words create your reality and things like that. And then I was like, oh well, that's the same thing as prayer. Prayers are thoughts and words to create something, to bring something into fruition, and then having the faith that it will happen. And that's exactly what the law of attraction is. Then I started to go back to the Bible, and I started to see, it really is the same thing. This is literally what Jesus was teaching his disciples. This is literally what Jesus was actually trying to teach in his time here. That was his mission, to teach people, the word of God, which is how to raise your consciousness, your awareness of. You know what I'm saying? So then that helped me to understand, okay, God is the knower and seer of all things, and there's a lot of people who have that question, who ask that question, like, how could there be just one God? How can there be one God and be the all-knowing and all-seeing God? But there be only one. And I'm like, that explains it. So it's like the universe, the people, it's not that people don't believe in God. They just believe in it as an all-encompassing thing, right? So then that led me to, having my own experiences, just trusting or following the spirit, right? Following the spirit. And, people who are Christian may call it the Holy Spirit. Muslim people call it Allah. Whatever it is, right? And so I just put the Bible down. I put all of those things down, even though I was making the connections from that with the Bible. It was still like, okay, let me just do what they're saying to do in these texts, in these Bibles, is to follow the spirit, right? And that's what I started doing. I just started following the spirit, and I started to see that. I started to become aware. I started becoming aware of so much. I started to become aware of things, myself and others, and what things actually mean and how things actually work, and my mind and my thoughts and things like that, right? So I'm like, then it led me to realizing that sins are actually just an opportunity to evolve, to learn lessons, a lesson to learn and evolve. So going on this, believing in God the way that I believe in it, as an all-encompassing thing, as a collective thing, it's like, okay, if you do these things, if you're led by the flesh, then you will, never really fully be fulfilled, because you'll always be trying to chase. Like if you're led by lust, you'll always be trying to chase a feeling, a physical feeling of a temporary feeling. You know what I mean? And then that's how addictions are created. So it's the same thing for like being led by the flesh can also mean things like doing drugs, smoking weed, smoking other things, snorting things, because it brings this feeling of euphoria, but it's only temporary. Drinking, sex, and then eating food. Like a lot of people don't even talk about food addiction, which is where the gluttony comes from. So I started to learn that all of these things, indulging in these things, can create addictions. So okay, and then I was like, okay, this is why they say that this is a sin, but I wouldn't say that it's something I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing. I wouldn't say that it's evil or whatever. I would say that it is an opportunity to learn a lesson and to grow and evolve. But if you don't become aware of the lesson that you're supposed to learn, then you stay in that level of consciousness. You stay in that very low state, and you end up never evolving, and you end up in the same karmic loop, the same cycle of being miserable, or of feeling very dark feelings, as being just stuck in the dark. Maybe that's a better way to say it, like being stuck in the dark, or in hell, should I say. And then if you die in that state, your spirit is will still be stuck in that low vibrational state, which, you know, would be hell. You know what I'm saying? You'll be stuck in a hell, in a loop, in a cycle of continuous freaking misery, because you did not learn your lessons. And I learned that through just having my own experiences and realizing that I was in a loop, in a cycle of, you know, darkness, like in this state of darkness and in these karmic cycles. So I did used to smoke weed or whatever, and it was something that at one point I relied on. It was like, wake up, smoke, go to work, and then when I was when I was going to work with my cousin, working at the same place as my cousin, me and my cousin would get in the car on our lunch break, have the same lunch time, go to lunch break, smoke on the lunch break, come back. Then we get home, we get in the car, on the way home, we smoke. You know what I'm saying? So and then once I got to once I left my cousin's house, my family house, and went, you know, on my own, it was, you know, smoke when I wake up, go home, and then I wouldn't smoke during my lunch break, and then get home, hurry up and smoke. And then, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was something that I relied on, like, every day. And then I would spend so much money on buying weed just so that I wouldn't feel this anxiety, because I didn't want to sit with the anxiety. I didn't want to deal with the anxiety, because at that time I didn't know how, you know, and the paranoia and things like that. And that was the only thing that would calm me down. I also had like stomach issues at the time, so my appetite, so I was getting skinny and skinnier and skinnier and skinnier and skinnier. I was like, I don't want to be this skinny. You know, my clothes wasn't fitting no more, and stuff was falling off me. And so I would smoke so I could eat, and I still wouldn't even be able to eat. I would eat enough, but I still wouldn't be able to eat a lot. You know, so it was something that I used to rely on. Then once I stopped, and then I started to do this thing where I would go to the bar and drink a glass of wine every day. This is during the pandemic. This is like during the pandemic. Now, mind you, at this time, I am using the sound healing. I'm, you know, in the process of healing, but you know, things don't just go away that fast. So it gradually got better and better and better. The more I used, you know, the more I listened to the frequencies every day, then I would find stronger and more potent frequencies as I went along. So I was still, you know, going to Papacitos, sitting at the bar, drinking wine I think I did that at least twice a week. I'm not gonna lie. Well, during the pandemic, because I wasn't working, you know, I had got laid off, so I wasn't working, and so I was able to just kind of do what I wanted to do. And I would go and drink wine at the bar, and I would get tipsy, and then I would go home or whatever. So, and it got to a point where that was a routine. Like, I relied on that, and so it was just a loop, you know, just karmic cycles, cycle after cycle after cycle. Now, prior to me having those stomach issues, I was addicted to food. It was at one point, like, even since I was a kid, I was addicted to food. I was a glut as a child, you know, and I was a big chubby kid, and just a glut, just wanted to eat. It got to the point where, like, if my mama bought a box of ice cream sandwiches and put it in the freezer, I would have one ice cream sandwich, and then I would go in the refrigerator. I'll go in the freezer and get another ice cream sandwich and go get another ice cream. I would have ate the whole. It got to the point where my mama said one a day, one a night. I'm talking about I had to stop me, had to put restrictions on me because I did not know how to stop. I was a glut, okay? I would eat lunch at school. Then I come home and eat. But some days I used to go home with one of my friends, go to her house because my parents was still at work or whatever. And they used to eat out of really small pots or whatever. And they was slim. They didn't eat a lot. So I would eat dinner with them. Then I would tell my daddy to buy me some food. Usually it'll be like something like Wendy's or something. And eat again because I'm still hungry. Like I was a glut. Most 8-year-olds. I remember my mama tell this story all the time. I remember when I was 8 years old and I used to love steak. I used to love steak and cheesecake, right? Which are two things that I don't even eat anymore. But not often. It's been a long time. It'll be every once in a while. And my mama and my daddy used to take us to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for all our birthdays. So her birthday, his birthday, Alvin's birthday, which is my brother, and then my birthday. Then one year for my birthday, I usually get the kid steak. And then because I'm a glut, I finish my little bit of, kid steak like this little. And I'm finished my steak and potatoes. And I'm looking at my mama and my daddy for pieces of theirs. Like, I want some more. What? Like, I'm hungry. That wasn't enough. So this year, this 8th birthday, my daddy said, all right, you could get an adult steak. Why did I eat the whole adult steak at 8 years old? Most of the children my age are not eating that much. I ate the whole steak, a whole ribeye at 8 years old. Glut. Okay? A glut. And it had gotten to the point where I felt like I was just addicted to food. I had like really bad eating habits. And so then once I started to learn about Dr. Sebi and, disease and curing diseases and things like that, and that, a lot of food is causing a lot of the diseases and things like that, I started wanting to change my diet, but it was so freaking hard. But I did it, and I broke that cycle. And I realized once I broke that cycle that my family has that addiction. They all have that same addiction, and they might not think that they do, but they eat too much. They eat too damn much. You know what I'm saying? Like, we shouldn't be eating that much. You know what I'm saying? I used to eat until I was like stuffed, till I was uncomfortably full. And when I start back, and me lately, since I've started back eating like that, eating fried foods, and I didn't stop eating fried food. It just went from fried chicken and fried things like that to like fried mushrooms, which I feel like is still better. You know what I'm saying? Like, still better. The fried mushrooms used to be hard, okay? There's a place in Houston called Linda's Vegan Kitchen or something like that. Lindiana's or something like that. It was a little food truck by TSU. Baby, them barbecue mushrooms was fire. Was to die for. And I used to eat that. When I first found out about it, I used to go there I went there every single day for a week and still didn't gain no weight. Whereas once I started eating chicken and stuff back again, I started to gain weight. You know what I'm saying? The weight I am now. Like, I started to gain weight because at that time I was still slim, and I stayed slim or whatever. So anyways, I gained weight fast. You gain weight easily when you eat that type of diet, so and I'm catching myself falling back Well, almost falling back into that pattern since I've been eating back, since I stopped the vegan diet, since I'm not eating vegan anymore. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, said all of that to say, sins are just going on this spiritual journey and believing in God the way that I believe in God allowed me to make mistakes, and then I became aware enough of those aware enough of what I was doing, and then learned my lessons from it. Okay, so I understand the detriment of jealousy. Jealousy can really make you do some really terrible things. So that's why you shouldn't want what somebody else has. And if you do want what somebody else has, use that person as motivation. Try to follow in their footsteps so that you can get what they have. You know what I'm saying? Or at least, yeah, so that you can get what they have. That's what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Like, instead of trying to take what someone has from them, wanting somebody else's wife or wanting somebody else's husband, that kind of stuff, adultery. I think that's what it is, adultery. That kind of stuff can lead to your own demise. Your own putting limits on your own self-limiting. You know what I'm saying? What else did it teach? What else did I learn through experiences, like through sin, learning lessons through these what is called sin in most religions. What else? Of course, thou shalt not kill is explanatory, but I still don't think that that's a bad thing all the time, because if somebody is a detriment to society, and sometimes they, if they can't be tamed in whatever way, sometimes they might need to be removed. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might need to be removed because they're causing way too much. They're causing an imbalance and causing and putting other people in danger, and is a detriment to others. And it's people that want to kill people. It's people that want to unalive people out of jealousy, not out of self-defense, but out of jealousy. So that's the reason why I learned, okay, jealousy, that's a strong like emotion. That's a demon. That is a demon. And if you let that energy overtake you, you could become a danger. That's a mental illness. So that's when I started. Then I started to learn. Then I started to actually like connect those things with mental illness. This is how all of this is happening. These people are like this because of their thought process, because of their minds, right? Then I started to learn. Then I also started to learn with the experiences I had with dark magic and voodoo and things being done on me. That's how demons work. Demons work mentally. You know what I'm saying? And these are energies. Some people don't believe in demons. Some people may say that it's and that's another thing I don't like. That's another thing that I learned about the conscious community. A lot of them don't realize that consciousness means being aware of the unseen as well. Being aware of the spiritual, the unseen. The spirit is not something that people can see, but a lot of the people in the conscious community, they only rely on logic, but not intuition. They don't rely on, they solely rely on logic without intuition. So there's people in the conscious community that only if they don't have any information on something, that means that it's not true. But it's so many people that have had these experiences with seeing spirits, and then they want to call people who see spirits and see these certain things, and say that their experiences aren't real. Will say that their experiences aren't real, and that they are experiencing psychosis and things like that. But if you were really conscious, you would be consciously aware of the energies that are unseen. So that's another thing that a lot of the conscious community, and that's another thing going on this experience taught me about the conscious community, that they are not really, this is just a lot of people in this conscious community, they are really just going off of information, books, and that is good. But you can't solely, you shouldn't solely rely on, and that's another thing I learned through this experience. Solely relying on logic with no intuition is detrimental. You need both. Because God is both logical and intuitive. God created, God is logical because it created mathematics, geometry, and, all of these things. And then, but it's also intuitive, because again, it is the unseen. It's also the unseen. It is not able to be seen by most human eyes. And if everything that exists is a derivative of this source of source consciousness, then that means that that everything else is spirit as well. You have to be aware of spirit. You can't just see bodies and just trust what you see. You can't just hear what somebody says and rely off the logic of the logical. You can't rely on the logic of what the words that they're saying mean. You have to actually feel. You have to intuitively feel their intention. You know what I'm saying? It's energy, right? You have to feel it as well, intuitively. So you need both logic and intuition, and that's something that I also learned. Because yes, the unseen exists, whether you believe in it or not. I'm not here to persuade you to believe in it, but in my experience, the unseen exists. So anyways, that actually is all that I have for you guys today. That is the reason why I believe in God the way that I believe in it. Because it is not as traditional as how most people believe in God.
Huh?
Uh-oh.
Right here.
All right, and y'all have a good one. Use the whole asshole, use the whole asshole, you whole asshole, whole asshole, use the whole asshole, use the whole asshole, you whole asshole, whole asshole, use the whole asshole, use the whole asshole, you whole asshole, whole asshole, use the whole asshole, use the whole asshole, you whole asshole. Bitches act like they cool, but they really not. Talking shit behind your back like snitches do with shitty cops. Cause when I come through, I make the whole city rock. Turned up in this bitch like the Millie Rock. Been beyond my years, more mature than all my peers. They ain't understand me, so they tried to call me weird, but